Hello, it's Nikki. How are you doing? Today I want to share the first of a three-part series all around speaking. So tomorrow is my birthday, and 3 years ago on my birthday I did a talk all about goal setting for Stylist Live, which was at Kensington Olympia. So it's a big kind of conference centre, and I had a whopping great stage at one end, and I don't know how many people were there on the day listening to the talk. I would say upwards of 300. And also members of my family were there. And yeah, that's always an interesting concept as well, you know, people seeing what you do. But it's something that I'm asked about all the time, because even though I've been a speaker for many years, I really noticed that shift in terms of my career, and I felt like I opened up a new level of Candy Crush, of not only the kind of gigs and the opportunities and the clients that were suddenly more available to me, but also how easier it started to become. Because you will find this in terms of your career and your brand. Like, once you've got certain badges, as it were, it's almost like you get, again, going back to a Candy Crush or a computer game, it's almost like you get those added lives or that added kind of boost of energy. And so when people book you going forward, then if they've seen something that you've done, it just becomes much more of an easy yes. So I want to share a bit behind the scenes of how it came to light. And I also invite you to start thinking about this now. If you want to become a speaker, if you want to add speaking to your 2022 income pie, now is the time to think about it. This is not a January the 1st, like, oh, this would be great. And you'll see why in a second. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 things that were really useful in advance and getting the gig. And as we go through, I'll talk a bit more about some tips and tricks, I guess, that I have on the day and then following the event. Number 1, if you want to do something in terms of speaking in the next quarter, in the next 6 months, today is the day that you have to start. So even though my gig was on November the 9th, 2018, I was actually booked 3 months in advance. And previous to that, probably 4 months in advance, I was in conversations about meetings and going back and forward. So I think it was June 2018 when this all started to happen. And this is a really important note to bring into the mix, because these things take time and these things take consideration, and you have to be in the game. And so if you've got your eye on an event that you know, for instance, happens every Easter or next summer, start thinking about the work that you need to do now. Because if you start emailing them, you know, a couple of weeks before, you're not going to get a response to that email, or you're going to get a come back next year because there's nothing really to say at this stage. So now is the time to think about it. I'm going to mention it a little bit in more detail in a bit, but if you want my free masterclass, go over to my homepage, nikkieraby.com, and there is a masterclass on how to get started with bringing speaking into your income pie. The second thing, I went for a meeting with the people who were organising and booking an event. Now, this is something that I've seen so often where people have, I'm trying to use really delicate language here. I was going to say where they've like fallen down. And that makes me sound like I'm coming from a judgmental point of view. But I think maybe I've done it myself. When people say, why don't you come in and let's have a chat? Or why don't we have a coffee and let's have a chat? You can't go in with let's have a chat energy. And the reason being is, even though they're saying let's have a chat and they're not saying let's have a formal pitch in a meeting, the other person is not coming in with let's have a chat energy. They are coming in with, are you going to be the person that I'm going to book? Are you? Are you ready? What have you got? What are you going to contribute? Like, come on, show me all the things. So when I went in, I did not take let's have a chat. I went so prepared. And what I mean by this is I gave myself, and I think I knew about the meeting probably about 2 weeks in advance. So I did my research, like who had they had there before? What kind of space is Kensington Olympia? What would I talk about? Brainstorming lots of different ideas and then pulling together my top three and really thinking outside the box of how I could really contribute to what they were doing. I also, even though it was Stylist Live, I ordered all of their back copies of their magazine and I made sure that I was really up to speed with what kind of topics they were talking about, what people are saying, what's happening on their socials. I really went into detail. This is not a time to scrimp and save and go, oh, it's just a chat, we'll just see how it is and I'll just wing it. No, this is about really showing that you're ready and that you've thought about it and that you are prepared for what is next to come. And also, I guess, being a safe bet in that and giving that person on the other end something to work with, something to inspire them, something for them to get excited about. And also in that process, being willing to take feedback or to work on your ideas in a different way, to really listen and to meet somebody halfway and find a way that you're both going to make this work for everybody. The third thing I want to say is make it simple and an easy yes. So after I'd had the meeting, which went really well, I followed up that day and I condensed my version of notes, I guess, of everything we spoke about. So I shared the topic ideas, like I could do this, or we talked about this as well. And I really laid it out because I always see that it's not somebody else's responsibility to, or I don't want to put all the pressure basically on somebody else to sell me. And because I know myself better than anybody else. And so I lean on that. And of course, they can add their own things. But if that person who is going back and feeding back to the rest of the team of saying, look, I met Nikki and she said this, this, and this, it's so much easier if I've done that work and I've put together different talks and ideas because they can share that email in advance of having the chat and everybody has a sense of what they're doing rather than going like, oh, she seemed really nice. That doesn't give anybody anything to go on. So doing that work, paying that attention. So when I structure my diary, I knew that I wanted to have some time straight after that meeting to do that follow-up work as well. And again, this is not something to go, gosh, I just ran out of time or I was so busy. Add it into your schedule and make it real and take it seriously. I'm getting really firm and serious today, aren't I? Anyway, number 4, once they booked me, really pay attention to the terms and conditions and the useful information. And this is about really being thorough about your contracts and what you're looking for, what's expected of you. You don't want to have any surprises, and also you don't want to have anything niggling in the back of your mind. So you want to know where you are as the speaker. So give yourself that time. Have people in your world who will be able to support you. Make sure that you're not signing up for anything, and this certainly wasn't the case with stylists, but make sure you're not signing up to anything that you don't feel happy with or just doesn't feel like you or conflicts with your brand or what you're all about. Make sure you're really happy. Also create some kind of timeline, because with these speaking gigs, it may be that you are required to post twice, for example, in advance of the speaking event that's coming up. Great. Look at those dates. What's required? What do you need to do? And then put them in your diary. Again, take it seriously. This is part of your contract. It's part of your commitment. So do things properly. Number 5, start to talk about it as soon as you can. And there will probably be a moment before things are released or dates are released or people's names or things like that. So there will be probably something in your contract of when you can announce it, I guess. So make sure that you are not just focusing on the other person's event and just sharing that link, create something on your website, a standalone page, which shows you've been booked, like you are ready, you are at this time, and then you can link it through to the website. The reason being is you have a sense of being able to control your own website, so that can be consistent throughout. And also as well, there's that situation that other people's links could change, and you don't want to have all that stuff on the day, the admin of like, I booked my ticket, but I don't know where it is. You need to keep that responsibility separate, I guess, because you want to focus on your talk. But also what you'll find is when people start to go to your website or they're investigating you, it could lead to more work. So the number of emails that I got of somebody saying, oh, I saw you were speaking at Stylist Live and you're doing something along these lines. We have an event coming up and we wondered if you would want to come and speak there, and we'd really be interested in what that looks like. So it can have that really lovely bubble effect going forward. As I say, these are just 5 really snappy tips. I have so much that I want to share on this. So if you are ready to speak up, you can purchase my speaking course, which is nikiraby.com/speak up. And if you want to find out more, you can go and find my free masterclass, which is on my homepage, nikiraby.com. But I will be back tomorrow with part 2 on this. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Lots of love. Bye.